What happens when whispers about a leader's health spiral into a nationwide debate? Donald Trump's health crisis has gripped headlines, sparked social media firestorms, and raised pressing questions about transparency and leadership. As rumors continue to swirl, the public is left wondering, is there more to the story than meets the eye? How much should we know about the health of our leaders? And what happens when speculation turns into a political flashpoint? Let's dive into details. In early January 2025, the world seemed to be preoccupied with its usual concerns: politics, entertainment, and the relentless churn of social media trends. But among the noise, a quiet but persistent topic began gaining traction: Donald Trump's health. It started as whispers, casual mentions in niche forums and blogs. But soon, those whispers grew into a roar, with major media outlets and political commentators joining the conversation. What was going on with Trump? And why was the public suddenly so concerned? The first sparks of speculation were subtle but telling. Public appearances, once a hallmark of Trump's larger-than-life persona, became noticeably infrequent. Where was the man who thrived in the spotlight, relishing every opportunity to command attention? Questions arose after a particularly high-profile event was abruptly canceled, a fundraiser expected to draw significant media coverage. The official reason was scheduling conflicts, but observers weren't convinced. Photos from a private gathering leaked online, showing Trump looking visibly tired and uncharacteristically subdued, fueling the growing concern. By mid-January, the narrative had shifted from quiet whispers to front-page headlines. Trump's energy levels had long been a point of pride for him, often boasting about his stamina during campaign rallies. Yet here he was, looking drained, his speeches shorter and less dynamic. Analysts dissected his public appearances, pointing out subtle changes in his posture and demeanor. Body language experts chimed in, suggesting that these could be signs of underlying health issues. Naturally, this kind of speculation thrived in the digital age, where social media algorithms amplified every new theory, turning casual observations into viral debates. The media's role in this phenomenon cannot be overstated. Once traditional outlets picked up on the story, the coverage became relentless. News channels ran side-by-side comparisons of Trump's recent appearances with his more energetic past performances. Commentators debated everything from his facial expressions to his walking pace, with some going so far as to suggest he was deliberately hiding a serious condition. Even late-night comedians joined the fray, turning the speculation into punchlines, which only amplified the attention the topic received. At the same time, Trump's staunchest supporters rallied to his defense, dismissing the concerns as baseless attacks designed to undermine his credibility. Social media platforms became battlegrounds, with hashtags like #TrumpStrong trending alongside more critical ones, questioning his fitness for leadership. The polarization was stark, with each side entrenched in its beliefs. But amidst the noise, one question lingered: what was the truth? Trump's team remained uncharacteristically silent in the early days of the speculation. Historically quick to address controversies, their lack of response only fueled suspicions. When an official statement finally came, it was brief and offered little reassurance. President-elect Trump is in excellent health and continues to meet the demands of his position with vigor, it read. But the public wasn't buying it. Skeptics pointed out that similar statements had been made in the past, only to later be contradicted by more detailed disclosures. By late January, the topic had reached a fever pitch. Cable news networks aired round-the-clock coverage, interviewing medical professionals who, without examining Trump directly, speculated on what could explain his apparent fatigue. Theories ranged from minor ailments to more serious conditions, with each adding a layer of intrigue to the story. Conspiracy theories also began to surface, claiming everything from secret hospital visits to elaborate cover-ups involving high-profile figures. While many dismissed these as outlandish, they nonetheless contributed to the viral nature of the topic. What made this particular health crisis so captivating was its blend of mystery and relevance. Trump's larger-than-life personality had always drawn intense scrutiny, and any sign of vulnerability was bound to spark curiosity. But this went beyond idle speculation. As the incoming president, his health wasn't just a personal matter, it was a question of national interest. People wanted to know, Could he handle the pressures of office, or would his condition become a liability? Adding to the intrigue was the lack of precedent. While presidential health has always been a topic of public interest, few instances in modern history have captured the public's attention like this. Comparisons were drawn to past leaders who had faced health challenges, from Franklin D. Roosevelt's polio to John F. Kennedy's Addison's disease. Yet those cases were largely kept under wraps during their lifetimes. In Trump's case, the digital age ensured that no detail, however minor, escaped scrutiny. By early February, the conversation took another turn. Social media sleuths unearthed photos and videos from private events, analyzing them frame by frame for clues. A video of Trump exiting a building with what appeared to be a slight limp went viral, sparking a fresh wave of speculation. Was it an injury? A symptom of something more serious? The lack of concrete information allowed the story to take on a life of its own, with each new discovery adding fuel to the fire. The growing pressure prompted Trump's team to release a second statement, this time more detailed. It included a summary of his recent medical evaluations, emphasizing his overall health and dismissing the rumors as politically motivated. But the statement did little to quell the speculation. Critics pointed out that the report lacked specifics, while supporters doubled down on their belief in Trump's resilience. The polarization mirrored the broader political climate, with the health crisis becoming yet another battleground in an already divided nation. As the days passed, the narrative showed no signs of fading. If anything, it seemed to grow more complex, with new details emerging almost daily. The story had moved beyond Trump himself, raising broader questions about transparency and the public's right to know. At its core, it was a reminder of the unique challenges faced by public figures, whose personal lives often become public fodder. For Trump, it was a test of not just his health, but his ability to navigate the scrutiny that came with his position. By late January 2025, the steady drumbeat of speculation about Donald Trump's health showed no signs of slowing. Despite assurances from his medical team, questions lingered. Media outlets, fueled by a constant demand for content, seized every opportunity to dissect his appearances. They analyzed his movements, his tone, even the way he stood during speeches. It wasn't just reporters either. Online communities, bolstered by amateur sleuths and self-proclaimed experts, turned every photo and video into evidence to support their theories. Amidst the whirlwind of attention, the Trump administration decided it was time to act. On January 23rd, a televised interview with one of Trump's senior advisors attempted to put the rumors to rest. The advisor emphasized Trump's rigorous schedule, attributing any signs of fatigue to the sheer demands of the transition process. He's been meeting with advisors, attending briefings, and preparing to take on one of the most challenging roles in the world, she explained. But instead of quelling the rumors, the statement seemed to add fuel to the fire. Critics pointed out that the explanation felt vague and avoided directly addressing the concerns raised. Social media naturally became a focal point for debate. On platforms like Twitter and Instagram, hashtags like #ChoutsAtTrumpHealth and transparency now trended for days. Videos of Trump speaking at recent events were slowed down, zoomed in, and scrutinized for any perceived irregularities. Even innocuous gestures, like adjusting his tie or pausing mid-sentence, were interpreted as signs of something more significant. Memes and satirical videos flooded timelines, making the discussion unavoidable. But while some treated the issue with a mix of curiosity and humor, others saw it as a serious matter of public interest. Advocacy groups and political commentators began calling for greater transparency, urging the administration to release a comprehensive medical report. Comparisons were drawn to other world leaders who had faced similar scrutiny. Historical precedents were brought up, from Franklin D. Roosevelt's polio being hidden during his presidency, to more recent debates over the health of candidates during election campaigns. These calls for transparency were not without controversy. Supporters of Trump argued that the demands were intrusive, pointing out that the president-elect had the right to privacy just like any other citizen. "It's one thing to expect a basic health update," one supporter wrote on a popular forum, "but this level of nitpicking is crossing a line." Opponents countered that the stakes were too high to ignore. "We're not just talking about anyone. a well-known political analyst, argued on a news panel. This is the leader of the free world. If his health affects his ability to govern, the public deserves to know. As these debates raged on, the administration made a strategic decision. Trump himself would address the issue directly. On January 27th, Trump appeared at a rally in Florida, his first public event in weeks. The venue was packed, and the atmosphere was electric. Supporters waved banners and cheered as Trump took the stage. For a moment, it seemed like business as usual, a return to the high-energy events that had defined his campaign. But as Trump began to speak, the tone shifted. After addressing the crowd and reaffirming his commitment to his campaign promises, he turned to the topic everyone was waiting for. "I know there's been a lot of talk," he said, his voice steady but firm. "People love to speculate. They've been doing it about me for years. But let me tell you this, I'm strong, I'm healthy, and I'm ready to lead." The crowd erupted into applause, drowning out any further elaboration. The rally marked a turning point, at least temporarily. For Trump's supporters, it was proof that their leader was as resilient as ever. They shared clips of his speech across social media, using hashtags like #TrumpStrong to counter the ongoing speculation. For critics, however, the rally raised more questions than it answered. Why had Trump avoided addressing the issue earlier? Why were the details of his medical evaluation still so limited? And why, if he was truly in excellent health, did he seem less animated than usual? In the days following the rally, the conversation continued to evolve. Medical experts appeared on news programs to weigh in on Trump's remarks and the broader issue of transparency in leadership. One prominent physician pointed out that the statements provided by Trump's team lacked the specificity typically expected in such situations. "Saying someone is in excellent health doesn't tell us much," she explained. "We need to know the metrics, blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and cognitive assessments. These are the kinds of details that can provide a clearer picture." At the same time, the administration faced renewed calls from advocacy groups to establish formal protocols for disclosing the health status of high-ranking officials. A petition on a popular government platform gained over 50,000 signatures within days, demanding legislation that would require candidates and sitting presidents to release detailed medical records annually. While the petition sparked heated debate, it also highlighted a growing public interest in the intersection of health, privacy, and accountability. As January turned to February, the story showed no signs of fading from public consciousness. If anything, it seemed to gain momentum with each passing day. News outlets continued to analyze Trump's every move, while social media remained a hotbed of speculation and debate. The administration, for its part, maintained its stance, releasing a few additional updates but refusing to engage with the more sensational narratives. Yet, beneath the surface of these public discussions, lay deeper questions about the role of health in leadership. What did it mean for a leader to be fit for office? How much should the public know about a leader's personal health? And where should the line be drawn between transparency and privacy? These questions, though not new, took on fresh significance in the context of Trump's health crisis. They forced people to confront uncomfortable realities about the demands of leadership and the sacrifices it often entails. The debate also revealed broader societal divides, with opinions on the matter often reflecting deeper political and cultural fault lines. For some, the focus on Trump's health was seen as an unfair attack, part of a larger effort to discredit him. For others, it was a legitimate concern, one that deserved attention and scrutiny. Regardless of where one stood, it was clear that the issue had struck a nerve, touching on themes that resonated far beyond the specifics of the case. In this charged atmosphere, the conversation continued, evolving in ways that were both predictable and surprising. It was a reminder of the power of media, the complexities of public perception, and the enduring human fascination with the lives of those in power. For Trump, it was another chapter in a story that had always been larger than life, a story that, like it or not, the world couldn't stop watching. As February progressed, the narrative surrounding Donald Trump's health began to shift. What had started as speculation and rumor was now sparking broader discussions within the medical community and political circles. The persistent lack of concrete details about Trump's condition, combined with the administration's guarded responses, kept the public's interest alive. Meanwhile, experts began to weigh in, offering their perspectives on what the situation signified, not just for Trump, but for the nation as a whole. Medical professionals were among the most vocal participants in the ongoing conversation. While many avoided direct speculation about Trump's health, they used the opportunity to discuss the broader implications of transparency in leadership. On a prominent news panel, a well-known physician stressed the importance of routine public disclosures for individuals in high-ranking positions. Leaders are not just figureheads. Their decisions impact millions of lives, she explained. It's not unreasonable for the public to expect some level of accountability when it comes to their health. This sentiment resonated with many, particularly given the historical context. Discussions often returned to the examples of Franklin D. Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy, whose health challenges had been concealed from the public during their presidencies. Roosevelt's polio, which left him unable to walk unaided, was carefully managed to maintain the image of strength. Similarly, Kennedy's struggles with chronic pain and Addison's disease were kept under wraps, even as they influenced his ability to perform his duties. These cases, while decades old, underscored the ongoing tension between a leader's privacy and the public's right to know. Comparisons were also drawn to more recent political figures. In 2016, concerns about Hillary Clinton's health became a major talking point during the presidential campaign after she was seen stumbling while leaving a memorial service. Similarly, questions about Joe Biden's fitness for office were raised during his campaign, given his age and occasional verbal missteps. These examples highlighted a recurring pattern. The health of political leaders is often as much about perception as it is about reality. For Trump, this pattern was playing out in real time. Every new public appearance, every word from his administration, became fodder for analysis and debate. Supporters pointed to his rally in late January as evidence of his vitality, while critics dissected his speech for signs of fatigue or inconsistency. The polarized reactions mirrored the broader political divide, with each side interpreting the same events in vastly different ways. Social media continued to play a central role in shaping the narrative. Platforms like Twitter and TikTok became hubs for speculation, with users posting videos, memes, and commentary at an unprecedented pace. One viral video, which purported to show Trump struggling to descend a set of stairs, garnered millions of views within hours. While the video was later debunked, it had been taken years earlier and edited to appear recent, the damage was already done. It became a symbol of how quickly misinformation could spread and how difficult it was to contain once it took hold. Amidst the chaos, some voices called for restraint. A prominent journalist published an op-ed urging the media to approach the topic with caution. "We must remember that speculation is not fact," he wrote. "Our role as journalists is to seek the truth, not to amplify rumors." The piece sparked a debate within the journalistic community, with some agreeing that the coverage had gone too far, while others argued that the public's interest justified the intense scrutiny. At the same time, advocacy groups continued to push for greater transparency. A coalition of nonpartisan organizations held a press conference in early February, calling for the establishment of a formal protocol for disclosing the health status of high-ranking officials. Their proposal included regular medical checkups conducted by independent physicians, with the results made publicly available. While the idea was met with resistance from some quarters, it gained traction among those who viewed it as a necessary step toward accountability. The administration, however, remained steadfast in its approach. In a press briefing on February 5th, the White House press secretary reiterated that Trump was in excellent health and dismissed the ongoing speculation as politically motivated. "The president-elect has been transparent about his health," she stated. "These unfounded rumors are a distraction from the real issues facing our nation." Yet the lack of detailed medical reports continued to fuel skepticism, with critics accusing the administration of downplaying or even concealing the truth. For Trump, the situation was both a challenge and an opportunity. On the one hand, the relentless focus on his health was undoubtedly a source of frustration, detracting from his efforts to set the tone for his incoming administration. On the other hand, it provided a chance to rally his base, framing the scrutiny as yet another example of unfair treatment by the media and his political opponents. At a rally in Pennsylvania on February 10th, he addressed the issue head-on, declaring, They've been trying to tear me down for years, but I'm still standing. And I'm not going anywhere. The crowd erupted in cheers, their enthusiasm a testament to Trump's enduring appeal among his supporters. For them, his resilience in the face of adversity was a defining characteristic, one that had carried him through countless controversies and challenges. But for his critics, the rally was a reminder of the questions that remained unanswered. Why had the administration avoided releasing a detailed medical report? And why, despite repeated assurances, did Trump's public appearances continue to fuel speculation? By mid-February, the conversation had taken on a life of its own. News programs dedicated entire segments to the topic, inviting medical experts, political analysts, and even body language specialists to weigh in. Social media platforms remained awash with theories, both plausible and outlandish. And while the administration maintained its stance, the calls for transparency showed no signs of abating. Beneath the surface of these debates lay deeper questions about leadership and accountability. What does it mean for a leader to be fit for office? How much should the public know about their leaders' personal lives? And where should the line be drawn between legitimate concerns and invasive speculation? These questions, though not new, had gained renewed relevance in the context of Trump's health crisis. They forced people to grapple with the complexities of leadership in the modern age, where the private and public spheres are increasingly intertwined. For Trump, the narrative was far from over. Each new development, each public appearance added another layer to a story that had already captured the world's attention. And as February drew to a close, one thing was clear. The debate over his health was not just about him. It was about the broader issues of transparency, accountability, and the ever-evolving relationship between leaders and the public they serve. As February turned to March, the conversation around Donald Trump's health reached a critical juncture. What had initially been fueled by rumors and speculation had now transformed into a broader discussion that transcended the president-elect himself. The debate wasn't just about his health anymore, it was about transparency, accountability, and the role of public figures in a world where information travels faster than ever before. In early March, the administration attempted to move past the issue, redirecting public attention to the agenda for Trump's first 100 days in office. A series of announcements were made, detailing initiatives aimed at economic recovery, infrastructure development, and national security. These efforts were intended to shift the narrative, presenting Trump as a leader focused on the future. But even as these announcements made headlines, the undercurrent of health concerns remained. It was as though the issue had become a shadow, impossible to fully escape. Meanwhile, advocacy groups continued their push for systemic change. A bipartisan bill proposing mandatory health disclosures for high-ranking officials was introduced in Congress on March 3rd. The proposed legislation, titled the Transparency in Leadership Act, outlined a framework for annual medical evaluations to be conducted by independent panels of physicians. The results would be summarized and made publicly available, ensuring that leaders' health was no longer a matter of speculation, but one of verifiable fact. The bill sparked intense debate across the political spectrum. Supporters argued that it was a necessary step toward accountability, pointing out that leaders wield immense power and their fitness to govern is a matter of national interest. Opponents, however, criticized the proposal as invasive and unnecessary, with some suggesting that it set a dangerous precedent for overreach into personal privacy. The media seized on the controversy, dedicating round-the-clock coverage to the bill's implications and the likelihood of it passing. Amid this backdrop, Trump made another public appearance, this time at a televised town hall in Ohio. The event was designed to showcase his connection to the American people, featuring a mix of policy discussions and personal anecdotes. It was during the Q&A session that the inevitable question arose. A member of the audience, a retired nurse, asked Trump directly about the rumors surrounding his health. Her tone was respectful, but her question was pointed. "Mr. President-elect, the country needs to know that you're up to the challenges ahead. Can you address these concerns once and for all?" Trump paused for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with characteristic bravado, he responded, "First of all, let me thank you for your service as a nurse. We need more people like you in this country. Now, as for these so-called concerns, let me be clear. I'm as strong as ever. The media loves to create drama, but the truth is, I'm ready to lead, and I'm ready to deliver for the American people. The audience erupted into applause, but the response did little to satisfy his critics. On social media, reactions were mixed. Supporters praised his confidence, while detractors noted the lack of specifics in his answer. Analysts on evening news programs debated whether Trump's approach was strategic or dismissive, with opinions split along familiar partisan lines. By mid-March, the conversation began to evolve yet again. With no new developments or revelations, the media started to shift its focus. Other stories, both domestic and international, rose to prominence, gradually overshadowing the health crisis narrative. Yet the issue never fully disappeared. It lingered in the background, a reminder of the unresolved questions and the larger themes it had brought to light. The Transparency and Leadership Act continued to gain traction in Congress, though its fate remained uncertain. Polls indicated that a majority of Americans supported the idea of mandatory health disclosures, but the political divisions in Washington made its passage far from guaranteed. Advocates for the bill argued that the debate itself was a step forward, bringing attention to an issue that had long been overlooked. Even if this legislation doesn't pass, one advocate stated in an interview, we've started a conversation that needed to happen. And that's progress. For Trump, the health crisis marked another chapter in a career defined by controversy and resilience. Throughout his public life, he had faced countless challenges, from legal battles to political scandals, and had always managed to maintain his base of support. The health narrative was no different. While it had sparked intense scrutiny and debate, it had also reinforced his image as a polarizing but formidable figure. By late March, the public's attention had largely shifted to Trump's first actions as president-elect. Policy announcements, cabinet appointments, and the upcoming inauguration dominated the headlines, signaling a return to more conventional political discourse. Yet the impact of the health crisis narrative lingered, shaping the way people thought about leadership and accountability in the modern era. The story of Trump's health crisis was more than just a fleeting media frenzy. It was a case study in the complexities of public life in the 21st century, where the lines between personal privacy and public accountability are constantly being renegotiated. It highlighted the power of media and social platforms to shape narratives, for better or worse, and underscored the challenges leaders face in maintaining transparency while protecting their own boundaries. In the end, the health crisis became a microcosm of Trump's larger relationship with the public, a relationship defined by equal parts admiration and scrutiny, loyalty and doubt. For his supporters, it was another example of their leader overcoming adversity. For his critics, it was a reminder of the questions that remained unanswered. And for everyone else, it was a reflection of the broader dynamics at play in American politics and society. As March came to a close, one thing was clear. The conversation about Trump's health may have faded, but the questions it raised would not be easily forgotten. They would remain lingering in the background, waiting for the next moment when the intersection of leadership, transparency, and accountability would once again come into focus. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.